Hey guys, welcome back to the Real Estate Monopoly. This is Kerwin,
And my name is Kenneth.
and we are the Donis brothers. And today we have Natalie Contreraz. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you said it right.
Awesome. Hey Natalie, what's up?
What's going on, guys? I just want to say congratulations on the deal that you just closed. Tell us a little bit about it.
Thanks. Well, we're actually still working on as far as like capital raising, so can't talk too much about it. But yes, we did close a deal in Atlanta, Georgia. So yeah.
We're very excited, and yeah, I mean, Natalie, you're the main event tonight, so we're excited to have you on. Natalie, let's just start out with the value. What is digital real estate in your words, and why does that matter? Why should anyone in the audience care?
Right. So I like to use metaphors. Let me put it to you on this kind of ground, right? Digital real estate, you have plots of land that you can acquire. And the plots of land that you acquire has seeds of people that you're going to be nurturing. And those seeds that you nurture are going to be your digital real estate that you can grow and grow and expand on to harvest in any way and possible form that you'd like, right? And then with real estate, just how it functions in today's world, you can sell it, you can exchange it, you can partner, you can build, you can develop. So that's a brief overview of the power and definition of what digital real estate is.
That's awesome. And so, to an investor, why would social media and being present on social media matter?
Right. So it's so funny because Beardy Brandon Turner, Bigger Pockets host back then, he just posted yesterday. He raised $30 million in 30 hours. And the key factor that allowed him to do that was social media and building his personal brand, not just his business brand. So, what is the power of social media for real estate investors moving forward? We'll call them the modern investor. It's going to be the largest asset that you can hold to facilitate the deals that you're going to be doing, capital raising, finding deals. Real estate has always been a relationship business, and now it's really doubling down onto that. And you want to be able to build that trust prematurely and show that, hey, I'm still doing what I said I'm going to do publicly through social media.
No, I love that.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal point too, because originally, I mean, real estate's always pretty much been around, right? But this whole
Mm-hmm.
social media and internet presence kind of thing is more of a new, like you said, modern investor. So people were always doing deals, right? Whether like all the old heads, right? So it's not
Yeah.
necessarily, it's such a new niche of people raising capital from online presence or even being able to get attention from online and tying that back into real estate. And so it's like
Yep.
such a new wave. So I'm glad you're here to speak about it.
Yeah, and that's something that
And
we found
something
when we
super interesting. Oh, sorry. So something I want to double down on is Bearded Brandon is like the perfect example. And that's something I want to emphasize to your audience is, hey, he's been building his brand for the past 10 years. It doesn't happen overnight. You
Yeah.
need to show and start now, even if you're not where you want to be. But the point I want to get at here is he told this really great story about how he was at an event, a conference, and he talked to one of these, we'll call them the old heads of real estate,
Yeah.
the old fashioned
Yeah.
traditional. And this guy was like, oh yeah, I've raised $50 million in real estate. And Beardy Brain was like, oh yeah, I've done the same thing in like the past 3 years. This guy had done it throughout the duration of his whole career. This guy had done it through social media in 3 years. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Speeding up the process for sure.
That's something that we
Mhm.
noticed that was like really powerful for us when we first started. We always like to say it's like the receipts, that the proof that we were doing
Yeah,
what we were doing, especially because we were so young, that it was like people could go back when they meet us at an event and see that we're actually logging, and like there's evidence of the action we're taking behind closed doors. And I think
hmm
nowadays, like that's what real investors, that builds credibility besides like the blog or the podcast, like just actually
yeah.
logging and taking pictures and videos and being a thought leader, but also kind of like removing the veil.
Exactly. That's a really great point. Being a thought leader, I really want to really define what that means for people because people think that means providing value. And I want to flip the switch on that. If you want to be a thought leader, you need to step into yourself. And that's one of the hardest things to do publicly. And that ties into building a strong personal brand. And for that, you have to stand for something, you have to go against something and build a tribe that you can lead. Because the worst case scenario for whenever you're building your brand and putting yourself out there isn't that you're going to offend somebody or get canceled for XYZ. The worst case scenario is that you put yourself in a corner where you can't be yourself, right?
Hmm.
So if you have a crazy opinion, just scream it to the world and, you know, you'll attract people who think like you and you don't have to be somebody else in the future. And now
You know,
you
there's
can
a
literally work with whoever you want.
There's like a saying that reminds me of is the worst, like a lot of people's worst nightmare is being canceled or like being remembered for something bad. But
Yeah.
in reality, the worst thing possible is that you're not even noticed at all and no one knows who you are.
Mhm.
So
Yes,
that's
yes.
so true.
If no one knows you, like
Exactly.
Grant Cardone says, if no one knows you, they won't follow you, meaning like you won't grab their attention. So you can't convert that into attention or that currency, so to say, right, into monetary currency or dollars, right? So
I want to expand
Exactly.
on something you touched on, the importance of standing out. I know you like kind of broke it down a little bit, but can you dive further deeper into that? How do we stand out as a user of social media, as an investor on social media? Because it feels like a lot of people are kind of regurgitating the same kind of content, the same
Oh
message.
yeah.
So what approach should someone take?
Right. So we'll start with what's not working, right? What's not working is what people are really comfortable with or what they're aware of is like the blog style kind of content, right? That's where people
yeah,
were really doubling down on. And then they became services where everybody was posting the same blog over and over on all of their websites. So you type in a headline and there's like 10 different real estate companies that have the exact same blog with the exact same information. And that's exactly what's happening in the short form video space now. Now, I want to preface this by saying short form video is at its peak right now. It just
yeah,
started in 2019 and it's going crazy. Right now is the best time to build your personal brand. And the reason why everybody is regurgitating the same content is because they don't understand what real value is, right? Their definition of value is let me teach you about real estate. Whenever the real definition of value, in my eyes, is let me show you how to solve your specific problem and reach a specific pleasure or desire that you have, right? The reason that you guys got into real estate is because you want to retire your mom. You want to live the stream life. You want to maybe buy a house in Guatemala, right?
maybe,
Many
yeah,
places, but one of them.
Maybe,
many places, yes,
theoretically.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. You know, that's your definition of value. And you're going to communicate that to your audience, right? You're going to be aligning your specific unique story in the unique way that you do business with your audience. And you need to also go against something. And the reason I say this is because people come together whenever they have a common enemy. And people are scared to find a common enemy, which is
yeah.
that's why you have to be as vulnerable as possible. And again, this is going to help you have confidence and maintain that drive to keep showing up instead of being fake, right? So whenever you're finding a common enemy for your audience, it doesn't have to be a specific person, but it could be a concept, right? So in the marketing world, a common enemy is going to be somebody who, you know, just copies everybody else. We'll just kind of tie this all around, right? So I'm going to say, hey, don't be that person. This is why we don't want to be that person. Come this way and I will show you the way, right? We're going to get farther away from the thing that we don't want to be or in the position that we don't want to be in anymore, right? So maybe if you are a young investor, the common enemy is working for someone else or even diving deeper into that, not having control of your life, giving the power of XYZ. You really want to break it down into almost a granular piece of like pain and frustration that they hold
Yeah.
within. And that's going to be the power driver to help you create more content that's unique while also tying in, the logical side of what real estate is, apartment investing, et cetera, et cetera. And I want to plant the seed with you guys because you're young, you're in real estate, you have experience. And there's a lot of people who are young and who have a lot of money and they have no idea what to do with it. So they
Yeah.
invested in crypto and
And
now
they lose
crypto's
it.
crashing. Yeah, and
Yeah.
they lose it, right? They just simply don't know what they don't know. And so they
No,
need someone who looks like them and who has the same story and has the same values and the same frustrations to help them find the path.
that's awesome. And you touched on this, but and we talked about it a little bit earlier before we pressed record regarding the different types of currency. And we have actually talked about this before. I don't know exactly how it fits into your definition, but what I've been told
Yeah.
is there's three different types, like fiat money, so like the dollar, and then there's time, and then there's sanity. So like if you can save somebody their sanity by
Yeah.
helping them, I guess, simplify a complicated process. That's an example of that.
Yeah.
Can you build off of that definition in terms of the types of currency? What would you add to it and maybe lean into the attention part?
I love that. So currency in my eyes, let's define that. Currency is defined as an exchange of value,
Mhm.
right? Time, you're exchanging a specific amount of time for the value that you want to get, right? Money, you're exchanging money for a course, for example, to get exchange value for whatever skill or mindset that you want to learn. So attention is the new currency that is coming on. It's a modern currency. It's going to be the most powerful currency that people can have in the modern age. So the currency of attention allows you to influence people. And whenever you influence people, you get them at a crossroads to influence their decision making. And if you can influence someone's decisions, you can provide them a lot of value and get them on a path to work with you, to trust you, to basically do whatever you say because they want to work with you. You have their attention. So almost like think of like attention as the net and you're gonna move it.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. No, I love that.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, if you get attention, regardless of what the monetary value is, right? Whether it's dollars, euro, money, gold, whatever it is, you can pretty much transform that attention and drive that into having people pay you for the attention you're getting, right? So that's awesome. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's a great point.
And so I just hear this a lot from investors or maybe I don't want to call them old heads because that might be a little offensive. But
Right.
the more seasoned, senior
Seasoned
side
is
of
a good word.
investors, they say, oh, like who's the only Gen Z kids wanting to see people dancing are going to be on TikTok. There's no way I'm going to be able to raise capital on TikTok. In general, what do you say to people that believe that their target audience, like if they want to raise capital on social media, what do you say to those people that think that social media is not the way to go?
Gotcha. It's a good question. You're right. Social media is not the way to go. I'll agree with you there. It's not the way to go if you want to take the harder route. But if you want the smoother route, then go on social media and start building trust and creating content, right? Your audience is on social media. You're on social media, right? The thing that I hear a lot is, I'm a businessman. I'm not a content creator.
Yeah.
You know, you're right. You're right. You are a businessman, but you're also a personality and you already have a brand. You're just not reaching millions of people because you're too afraid to be vulnerable on the camera.
No, I
Yeah.
love that. And
Right.
that's funny you say that because like yesterday I was on social media. I get on social media and I wanted actually, before I forget, I also wanted to define the difference between being a content creator and a content consumer. We'll talk about that later. So
Mm-hmm.
remind me, dive into it if I forget. But first, what's the difference between like being a businessman and a content creator? Because the other day I was listening to a reel and he was saying like that's going to become the new type of entrepreneur slash it already
Yep.
is the new type of entrepreneur. So maybe expand on that and tie that back into why that's relevant to real estate investors.
Yeah, that's a great question. So Brad Lee put this in a really amazing way, right? Brad Lee, he's in sales, has a whole company. Whenever he started building his brand about 5 years ago. He was struggling to find the time to create content. And then he had his videographer come in, hey, we need to film content. Hey, we need to film content. And there was this big weight and hassle on his back. And it was so frustrating, but he knew the goal that he had needed him to create content. And so he flipped the switch. He said, I'm done. Just keep their camera and record my life. Right? He became the content. So for real estate investors, you already are the content. You already have a brand. Go talk to people you work with on a daily basis and ask them, hey, how would you describe me? If you were to introduce me to a room of people, how would you introduce me? There's your one liner. That's your basis that you can start off with. Now, this is relevant for real estate investors because we all go to conferences, we all go to events, and we see the speakers on stage, and we automatically give them validation and authority because they are on a higher elevation, right? Why are they on that higher elevated stage? Because they have all of the audience's attention, right? But they only have 1 hour to speak. You can start creating content, short form video content, and you can speak to your audience 24/7 and reach millions of people. That's the power of content and influence. We can tie that in, right?
Yeah.
Influence them to come up to you, work with you, build your email list. I mean, the possibilities are endless at that point.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that kind of does like tie into the question I wanted to expand on, which is so, and I don't know if Kenny can relate, but I used to think, and like not even that long ago, I would avoid social media, and I think a lot of real estate investors avoid social media, and in a way, they almost think they're better than social media. Like, oh, I don't use social media because I don't want to I'm not one of those content just scrollers who are zombies online, and so in a way, like you kind of get this sense of superiority. But in hindsight, it's just
Yep,
about the approach you're taking to social media, because I think it's
exactly.
essentially becoming more inevitable that you need to use content in order to build your brand. And so, what is the difference between being a content consumer and a content creator, and why is it important to understand the difference?
That's a great question. So someone who is a content consumer is just going into social media to escape, right?
Mm.
They have no intention. Someone who is a content creator or even has that mindset, they go into social media with an intention. So maybe you are just starting out as a real estate investor, or maybe you just want to test the waters with real or with social media. The best thing that you can do to just prove this concept is start networking online. Go with it with intention. You don't have to scroll, but find the people in the industry that you want to work with, who are in the position that you want to be in, or maybe somebody that you just want to connect with and partner with on a deal, and start DMing them. Start interacting with their content. Comment on their post, you know, swipe up on their stories and be like, hey, bro, like I love golfing too. Let's go out sometime.
Yeah.
Right? You build those connections. You have a 24/7 ability to network with people in your industry, and that will get you further and further and down the rabbit hole of connections.
That's a great point that you added there. Just because, well, one, I can sometimes sit on TikTok, or well, I don't really have TikTok anymore, but Instagram, right? Instagram Reels. And I'll go on Instagram, and yes, sometimes I'll just swipe down my feed, but most of the times I will go to the Reels and just see what Reels are doing well, and they all catch my attention. So then I go to him, which, he handles all of our marketing. So I'm like, hey, this is, something that caught my attention. It's likely going, and it's doing well. It's likely going
Yep,
to do well if we kind of redid it, right? So we consume the content to be able to recreate the content as a content creator.
exactly.
But I liked the point that you made, is not just creating content and gaining an audience, but you can also leverage social media to reach out to other people and network, right? A lot of people think
Exactly.
networking can only be done in person, but that's not true. In fact, it's actually being done all over, social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and maybe TikTok. I don't know if TikTok has DMs, but yeah. So that's a great point.
A good point to add on to that as well is, a lot of people, especially in commercial real estate, they just are heavily focused on LinkedIn, right? And LinkedIn is just
Mhm.
literally the definition of a 24/7 networking event, right? But
Yes.
let's talk about the process of what happens after you meet someone at a networking event. Maybe you
Mm.
connect with them on Facebook, you connect with them on Instagram, because LinkedIn is not the place to build strong relationships, in my
Yeah.
opinion, right? That's where you go to meet people. Hey, let me follow you on Instagram. You go on Instagram, you see their stories, you see who they are, you get an understanding of their personality. Now you feel like you know and you trust them, right?
Mhm.
Versus LinkedIn, it almost feels like you're just seeing them in their suit and their tie, right?
Yeah, that's a great point.
So for anybody who is on LinkedIn right now and they're connecting with people, I encourage you to connect with them on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter and start building that relationship there, because that will get them to have a more personal touch there. And then just start DMing them, right? That's how you can just fast track the process of relationship building through networking. Also, if you're at a networking event, grab everyone's Instagram and just connect with them. And something that I did with one of my clients, she got invited to this private mastermind. And I said, get a picture with everybody. Of course, connect with them on Instagram. What we're going to do the week after is we're going to do an appreciation post for the people that influenced us the most at this event.
Mm.
So let's say, so what she did that next week is, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, she said, hey, I had a great time at this event. I learned all these different things. I want to thank Brandon Turner for teaching me this lesson, right? Tomorrow I'm going to be, she just announces that she's just showing appreciation for the people they met. And
Yeah.
now she's deepening those relationships because she's saying it publicly.
Mhm.
This guy taught me this. I'm so excited to connect with him. This girl taught me this. I'm so excited to connect with her. And then your audience gets to see that journey in the future. Oh, I saw that post and now they're doing a deal together. That's crazy. What the heck?
Yeah.
So I would highly encourage that strategy as well. Go to LinkedIn, connect with them on Instagram, show some appreciation, start engaging, build that relationship, and move forward from there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a
that's
great point.
very powerful, and something that reminds me of something that we do, but I know for a fact a lot of other investors do, is they have a business Instagram, for example, and then a personal one, and they will mainly like use their business one, right? For example. So what is your opinion on that? Like, what do you believe? Do you believe people should maybe prioritize their personal account or create content on their business account, or do both? How should they approach that?
That's so a good example would be Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
Right. So let me break down this story for you. Elon Musk has done a great job at building his personal brand, being vocal about his opinions, sharing his belief system, showing what he's against. And he's built a very, very strong following of people who really like him, his raving fans, and people who absolutely hate him.
Yeah.
Right. It's a win for him.
Oh, yes.
And he's talked about consistently. Now, and also his stock has gone up like a ridiculous amount because of that as well. Now with Jeff Bezos, once Jeff Bezos saw that Elon Musk, the value of Elon Musk's companies surpassed Amazon, Jeff Bezos actually sat down with Musk and said, "Hey, what is going on? Like, how can I do what you're doing?" And so that's why you see Jeff Bezos posting more on social media, because he understands that he built his business, but now he needs to focus on his personal brand because that's the true valuable asset that'll get him to influence his audience and get people to trust him more. So for people who have a business and a personal account, I'm not going to tell you to delete your business account, but I'm going to tell you to double down on your personal account. Share everything on there. And that, again, you don't have to find the time, just make the time to incorporate it throughout your day. If you're
Yeah.
leaving a property and you saw something crazy, again, you don't have to say the name of the property, you don't have to
Yeah.
say where you're at. Just say, "I just left this property and you will not believe what just happened to me."
Mm.
And then go into it,
No,
right?
that's awesome.
That's
I love
awesome.
that.
Yeah.
And we're approaching our speed round, but I do want to have a ton of more questions because there's a lot of value you're sharing. I've noticed that there's a lot of people that go into social media and there's a lot of people that leave it at some point. They give up and they stop posting. Like I've noticed a lot of people were consistently posting and then they just stopped and it's like ghost mode.
Yep.
So what is some of the maybe top 3 success factors that you've noticed, not only in your clients, but in general, like the top users of social media that distinguishes them from the rest of the pack?
That's a great question. So the question, just to clarify the question, is how do
Mhm.
you encourage consistency through your content?
Well, it's not necessarily, I don't know if that would be what you would contribute to like their main success factor, but is it the quality of their content, the like perspective they're taking when they're making the content, like what their intention is
Mhm.
with the content or the rate they're posting? I don't know what would you say is like will yield the highest results, and what among the people that are using social media, of those that are the most successful, have you noticed any like trends or patterns in their approach to it that have contributed to that success?
Gotcha. Yeah. So before you even start posting, you definitely want to solidify your brand and your content strategy. And that has to be very, very authentic, or else you're not going to be able to keep up with the version of yourself that you're projecting.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's going to be the number one thing to focus on as you're getting started. Now, throughout the process of building your brand, to be able to be consistent and provide valuable content, you need to be able to think like a content creator. So that example I mentioned briefly, whenever you leave a property and you have this crazy story, record it right then and there. Because I can promise you, you're not going to record it tomorrow. You're
Yeah.
not going to have the same thought process. And so the biggest shift that I've seen with my successful clients is that mindset change. They're not doing this for their business, they're doing it for themselves at this point. They're doing it because they know that they are the biggest asset to their business, and they're going to invest the time to share their thoughts and their belief systems out with their audience to basically plant the seeds to harvest later, right? So that's going to be the biggest keys to success with social media.
Mm.
Understand your brand, your personal brand, solidify your belief systems and the unique way that you do your business. Write it down on paper. That way, whenever you do hire a content team, you have it there already. You've already done the work. It makes your life 10 times easier. And then you get into the mindset of a content creator and you just hit record. Maybe not everything is going to be posted, but you just need to hit record all the time. And from there, you also want to make sure to show up on your stories to consistently build a relationship with your audience and give them unique insights and just be extra authentic, right? So the stories are where you can just be a little bit more yourself and be like, "Hey, I'm going to this property. Um, just telling a story. Oh my God, I just got off this sales call and like, I cannot believe this just
Yeah.
happened." Right?
Awesome.
So storytelling, brand consistency, mindset.
I love that. Can do you have any questions before speed round?
No, that was great.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, Natalie, are you ready? This is the
I'm ready.
speed round Natalie edition. Number one, what is the number one failure or mistake you see content creators in the real estate space making on social media or with their personal brand?
Misinterpreting the definition of value and not understanding that they're the most valuable asset in their business.
Awesome. Question number two, what are your favorite resources in terms of like education for learning about personal branding and or social media?
Yeah, so I would follow Alex Ramosi, and I would also follow Vanessa Lau, Vanessa Lau. They are some of the best content creators in the space.
Awesome. What is your long-term vision for your own business, and how are you aiming to accomplish helping as many investors as possible with their personal brand moving forward?
Right. So I want to actually train the marketing teams for real estate investors because I think it's important for investors to have an internal team of content creators for them. So that includes a videographer, a content strategist, graphic designer. So I want to train the team on how to basically exert the personal brand as much as possible. So I'm looking to scale and help as many investors grow their brand to be able to raise money, share their experience, make some extra passive income online.
Awesome. This is actually like a bonus question I forgot to ask, but I'm curious. For a lot of people, they say like you don't really own your followers and your like your people on social media. I know this is a whole other conversation, but just real quick, like 10 to 30-second spiel. How should people go from social media followers to actually converting that into an investor or a consumer or a customer? Like, what would you recommend?
The number one thing is just going to be that to build that email list, right? So you want to build that email list. After that, maybe you want to build some type of community, whether that's a Facebook group or something on Circle or Mighty Networks. You want to be able to consistently nurture your audience to stay top of mind, right? So as soon as someone gets onto your page, you have a certain window for consumption that they want to consume your content and invest into you. And you can speed up that journey by just providing a lot of value in like a webinar, collect their email, they get access to it. From there, they join a community, they get introduced to you. Maybe they have like a one-on-one call, an investor call or something. So you can speed the process of your client journey by just, content, webinar, community, one-on-one call.
Perfect.
Yeah. And last question.
Well, yeah.
What is your favorite either personal or business book that you would I guess relate your success to, or just your favorite in general?
I'll give you two.
Okay.
Yep.
$100 Million Offers by Alex Ramosi, of course.
Very good
And then
book, yeah.
also High Ticket Coaching. And I forgot who that's by.
High ticket coaching. Okay, awesome.
No worries. Is that
Yeah.
is that your favorite for like marketing specifically, or would you add another one if that was the case?
For marketing specifically,
Or personal
yeah,
branding?
I would say building a story brand is also really,
Mhm.
really great. That helps you define your personal story to communicate it to your audience.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love that. Awesome. Well, if anyone in our audience wants to learn more about you, follow you on your journey, where can they go to do that?
I am at Natalie, Natalie, Megan, Meaagan, everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube's coming soon.
Awesome.
So yeah, follow me there, connect. Definitely DM me if you guys are interested in building your personal brand or just learning a little bit more about how you can start using social media effectively.
Absolutely. Well, guys, make sure you follow her. She puts out a lot of awesome content. I follow her. But yeah, do you have anything else?
No, that's all. Thank you guys so much for being here today. Thank you, Natalie, for being a guest.
Thank
You
you.
shared a ton of gems. We appreciate it. And guys, if you guys got any value, make sure you leave a 5-star review, comment down below, let us know what you think. And guys, let's get out there and take action.
Yeah.
Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Yeah.